Chinese lenses better than Leica lenses? Now this is not clickbait and I will prove it with example photos. Following my recent Instagram post, as you can see here, I prove that you can sometimes get sharper images from a cheap Chinese lens compared to a premium Leica lens. Now I love Leica lenses and this is not hating on Leica, I just want to show you that sometimes you might get better images from a different lens. If you're struggling to nail focus with your rangefinder camera, stay with me and I'll also include some simple ways to make sure you nail your focus every time. Hey, good morning, Matt here from MrLeica.com. I thought I'd try and do a quick talking head video today, so I am still a bit croaky but I'll do my best. So to save you guys some time, if you're using Leica mirrorless cameras or adapting rangefinder lenses to any mirrorless camera, Sony, Fuji, Lumix, whatever, you don't really need to watch this video. If you're interested in the title, Chinese lenses are better than Leica lenses, what I'm talking about in this video is purely the effect of calibration. I should probably quickly stop and point out, if you are a new viewer, have been reviewing Leica related stuff for the last kind of decade or so, and as an ex-auditor I really enjoy testing, as kind of geeky and weird as that sounds. So every time I get new lenses and new cameras, I'm testing how different combinations work together to give me the sharpest images at wide open apertures for my model photography. So when I'm not doing the geeky lens testing, I'm photographing models. So I need my lenses to perform, especially on film cameras where I don't know if I'm getting a sharp image until I get home. So my method of testing, some of you may have seen my recent Instagram post, I do these kind of mirror selfies. So I'll put the various lenses onto my camera of choice. And let's say M4, I still need to do a video on this, so subscribe to see that, it is coming very soon. I get my camera in the post and then I was like, right, I think I want to see which of my 50mm lenses will give the sharpest resolution or images in sharp focus at minimum focus distance by photographing myself into a mirror. So all I do, I'll get a pile of lenses, then I'll just photograph myself, develop my film, check the results, and then that's what this video is about. Yes, most people think that Leica lenses are the best, and I love Leica and I'm not hating on Leica, and I know some of you call me Mr. Voigtlander, or you probably start calling me Mr. Chinese Lens Man or whatever, because I do love testing lenses, so I don't care who makes them. If they make lenses for Leica, I'll test them. I started out with Voigtlander lenses and Carl Zeiss lenses. This is before Chinese lenses were a thing. And then eventually I sold those and bought Leica lenses because everyone knows that Leica lenses are better, right? So I bought Leica lenses. I bought things like a Summicron 50f2. I bought things like a Summilux 51.4. I even bought the Noctilux 50f1 from back when I used an M9 and I needed a fast lens for my low light wedding photography. So I bought all the best lenses, and then these days I'm putting the same lenses on my M7 or my M4, doing a mirror selfie at 1.4 or f2, and the photos are soft and I'm like eh. And then the crazy thing, I'll put on my, I think it's like £200-300 Chinese 7Artisans at 1.1, so the depth of field is like tiny and it focuses to 0.7 meters. Brilliant lens, Sonar formula, not sponsored. And hey presto, I've got sharp images at 1.1 and especially stop down a little bit to see f1.4. So what I'm saying is my 1.1 cheap 7Artisans lens gives me sharper, higher resolution images than my Leica Summilux spherical 51.4. The price differences, I don't know, I haven't checked, but what, 10 times, 8 times more expensive for the Leica than the Chinese one. And every time I go on a trip, I'm picking up the Chinese one. So that's just one example. Now it's not clear cut that Chinese lenses are amazing and Leica lenses are never calibrated. My Leica Noctilux 50f1 V2 is calibrated, but it's an expensive piece of glass, so I don't really want to be carrying that around Europe on my model shoots. Some Chinese lenses don't calibrate as well. So for example, the silver Mandala lens that I reviewed recently, it didn't match up with my Leica M4 wide open, whereas the black one seems to be better. These are exactly the same lens, they just happen to be calibrated very slightly differently. And it's not because they're Chinese. If you get two Leica lenses, again, they'll be very slightly different. So how do we fix the problem? So let's say you just got your film back, you're really excited, you just did some amazing portraits and they're all out of focus. We've all done it if you're like a Leica film user. I had some trips to Ukraine, really excited, amazing models, takes me a day to get there, a day to get back. All the photos are out of focus, and it was back in the day when I was using an M3 and my DR. Now the DR is an amazing lens, vintage like Summicron 50mm f2 dual range. If I put this on my M3 or my M4 or my M7 or whatever, really sharp. But the problem in that instance was my M3 had been knocked out of calibration. So if every lens gives you soft results on your rangefinder camera, and let's say you're lucky enough to have multiple lenses, then it's a camera problem, not a lens problem. That means you just need to send your camera to, I don't know, CameraWorks or LEICA and get it recalibrated. The second option, which is much more common if you've got multiple cameras, is certain lenses might be good on, say, your M4, but out of focus on your M6. So this is the problem I have. So certain lenses work better with certain bodies, and certain lenses just seem to be great on all bodies. So my lenses which seem to perform the best on like every body is the 7Artisans 51.1, Light Lens Lab 50 1.2 1966, Voigtlander Nocturne 75 1.5, and the Light Lens Lab 35 f2 8 element. Those lenses, oh, and the Summicron DR. Those lenses all give me super sharp images wide open, and yeah, no issues. If you only own one camera and one lens and you're not getting sharp images wide open, and to make it even worse, if you've got, say, a Leica lens, like a, I don't know, very nice Summilux or very nice Summicron or whatever you spent your money on, the best way to do it is to send your camera plus your lens back to Leica, and they'll make sure that they calibrate the two together as a pair to give you sharp images. If you saw my video on the wait times in Wetzlar, this is because they get so many cameras and lenses back for calibration. So what is the solution if you don't want to send your camera to Leica for a year? You've got a few options. So the first option is, if you say a street photographer and you shoot f8, most things are going to be in focus at f8 on, say, a 35mm lens. So you're never going to have this issue. So sorry if I just wasted a few minutes of your time. When you'll get a surprise is, let's say you, I don't know, watch one of my videos and go, oh, Matt says the 50mm 1.2 is really good. You buy that lens, you try to shoot that lens at 1.2, and suddenly all your photos are soft. That's because your camera might be out of calibration, but you never notice because you've always used a wide lens or stop down, or like a combination of the two. So option one, use your existing camera, existing lens, but then just stop it down. If you're going to stop down, you can then enjoy tiny little lenses like this Voigtlander 35 3.5. This is perfect when your camera is not in calibration. I'm telling you all this because I've kind of been burnt in the past. I used to use my M240 and that got knocked out of calibration probably once a year from regular use, and I knew it was out of calibration, but I didn't have time to send it off because I needed the camera. So I used a 35mm 2.5 lens at f4, and that gave me enough depth that even though the camera was out of calibration, I could use that for, I think I used it for 3 to 6 months or something like that. I did a blog post about it. All the photos are fine because I knew the limitations of my camera. Similarly for you, if you know that your Summilux 50 1.4 is out of focus at 1.4, but it is in focus or maybe even sharp focus at 2.8, instead of sending your camera to Leica, if you haven't got time to do so, just shoot your lens at 2.8. Sounds obvious, I realise. Equally, as well as stopping down, you're also getting increased depth by not shooting at your minimum focus distance. So as a portrait guy myself, I like to focus at minimum focus distance to get the shallow depth of field. But if your lens isn't calibrated, you want to do the opposite. So instead of shooting at, say, 1 meter, try shooting at, say, 3 meters. Okay, so that's two options. What else can we do? If you're using a digital camera, so say my M10P, you could just put a EVF on the top, and then you can shoot your miscalibrated camera with some super fast glass, like a, say, 51.1 or whatever you use, and you're never going to miss because you're using an EVF, and it's like using the Leica SL where what you see is what you get. So that's great if you're using digital cameras. What if you're only using film cameras? Now, what I'm going to say is not that useful because it involves using different lenses, but I'll tell you anyway for completeness. If your camera is completely out of calibration but you love it and you just don't want to let it go for, as I say, 6 to 12 months to get it calibrated, what you could do is pick up a cheap VisoFlex set from eBay, and then it turns your rangefinder camera into an SLR camera. The caveat is you will need to then buy a VisoFlex lens, so it's not foolproof, and VisoFlex lenses start at 65mm and then get longer. So if you're a 35mm guy, this isn't useful for you. If you shoot wide lenses, say you're a 28mm guy or 35 or even wider, 21 you can't really miss. So let's say 28 or 35. If you're 28 or 35 and you know your calibration is way off, just zone focus. You know this if you're a Leica guy, but if you're new to Leica, all it means is you approximate your distance, set your lens to say f8, and then everything from, I don't know, 2 meters to infinity is in focus, just as like making up the numbers, but you get the idea. So zone focusing is also great if your camera and lens combo are like way out. The other option, of course, is to just use a mirrorless camera and give up on rangefinders completely and say use an SLR for your film photos. Now, I know I'm always banging on about Chinese lenses. I'm not pro-China, I'm not paid by China. I just love testing lenses. I wasn't born into like loads of money, and my parents were both teachers. I wasn't like a trust fund baby or anything like that. So I think when I'm making these videos, I try to make it with the mindset that a lot of people can't afford the high prices of Leica lenses, but they love the experience of using like a beautiful rangefinder camera. The barrier to entry in the past for using Leica cameras was the additional cost of then having to pay perhaps a similar price to what you pay for the camera for your lens if it was a film camera. So what I think my mindset is when making these videos, I'm trying to make videos to show that the everyman, which is like me, I'm just like an average guy on YouTube that happened to get into Leica. You can enjoy Leica cameras with alternative lenses, and then maybe if you do well in life you can then pick up Leica lenses. I own Leica lenses and non-Leica lenses, and I'm just trying to test every lens that's made for the Leica system to give you guys an idea of whether or not it might be useful for your photography. So yeah, sorry again for us banging on about Chinese lenses, but yeah, at the moment there's lots of companies in China making lenses for the Leica system, and there's only really now Zeiss that don't make any lenses anymore, Voigtlander and Leica. So there's not that many options outside of China if you don't have lots of money to spend. Voigtlander, of course, are amazing. I'm very pro Voigtlander. I've got a lot of Voigtlander lenses. I love the tiny lenses. And then things like the 75 Nocturne are fantastic on film. So sorry, my short video probably turned into a long video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit the like button and share with your friends if they'd love to use a Leica camera but can't afford Leica glass. You can get sharp images from Chinese lenses when shut wide open that may outperform your Leica lenses if your Leica lens isn't particularly well calibrated. And don't assume that Leica lenses are always calibrated and Chinese lenses are never calibrated, because that's not the case. Thanks for watching. If you lasted till the end, I hope to catch you in the next video, and thanks as always to my amazing patrons.